generally, like, I'm so glad. I mean, my mom was sick, but I'm glad that I was able to find people that I can now have to babysit my child. And Lily is like his now favorite way. Like, do I get Lily time this week? Do I get Lily time? Okay. Man, I should go out and do something. I want Lily time. Are you okay? How are you?
Fine, how are you? We sure have trouble making
But these days she works every
I am struggling.
I'm so sorry.
I met with her and all the time, so I think that'll be okay. We have fire Wednesday, and I don't have anything any other and then the following week, I can't do Tuesday, we're in charge, but I can do Monday, Thursday, Friday.
My weeks are really got things out first week.
Do you want me to send that to you? I'm also I feel like I've met with her on weekends a lot too. Like last year when there's work. Thank you for making me. I'm so sorry. Please no.
All right, we'll do something later. Yeah.
about that, what that was like. I have a project where I
Yeah, let's gather.
Are you kidding?
And there's a little reception afterwards, so they wanted to bring me in and get to walk up to the
Oh, so you should go. Hopefully by then she's in or not. So she wants to go.
Well, that's true, yeah, maybe, I don't know if the decisions are made, but
45 days from the audition and let us know. So shout out to my first one.
it is, it'll be fun, so, well, I mean, hopefully you'll be able to say, hey, you made a good decision. He doesn't have to make the decision.
He's gonna audition in a second. Well, I think he's partial.
Wayne, Cyrus, Wayne, I don't know.
Yeah, he's new.
Yeah.
So he was there that day, but she's gonna re-audition when she get it. So like she'll do that. She'll re-audition. So.
Good morning, and welcome to service and worship at the Unitarian and Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Watercolor Golightly, and I will be your worship associate today. Our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you are, whoever you have been, and whoever you are becoming, I invite you to bring your whole self here today to be with us. Masks are currently optional in worship service or in our concurrent religious education. Here at UUCT, we ask that if you're feeling sick, that you please join us at home on the live stream. Our members here are all dedicated, based on the most recent polls, to being fully vaccinated, and we encourage everyone to keep up the good work and get your boosters. For all our sakes, especially the most vulnerable, please, let's maintain this commitment. I would like to spend a special welcome to our visitors. We had a welcome breakfast down the hall this morning, and it looked very bustling and successful. Yay! And if you're visiting for the first time today, I invite you to fill out a guest information card. They're over by the Welcome Center in the corner here. It's right behind you. And we also have lovely newcomer specialist greeters over there that know all about what's going on and how to get involved, and will be happy to talk to you during coffee hour, which will be after the service today. And it's not coffee hour, it's technically social hour. Coffee is not mandated during social hour. It's just my preferred drug. So you don't have to engage in that. There's lovely water and lemonade too. Iced tea, lemonade, snacks, and of course, lots of good company. If you need to use the bathroom, it's through that door and to your left. There are 2 universal bathrooms there for anyone that needs to use them. With all that business complete, I have a question to ask you this morning. It's a question for you to answer in your head, to reflect on, to think about for just a minute. So here it goes. How can you tell the difference between when something is truly bringing about change. When you are taking an action that changes the world and you are participating in something that really is bringing about change, or something that at first glance looks like it might be helpful, but in reality, it isn't bringing about long-term change. What's the difference between the surface and the depth? Let's think about that for just a minute. If your wheels are spinning and you're not quite sure, no gaining traction here, that's okay, because today our speaker is a specialist on those differences. Janine Gelsinger from UU Jazz, Unitarian Universal Justice Arizona, also known as UU Jazz, is a state action network, which means their role is to support Unitarian Universalists in congregations across our entire state to take action for social change. Janine has served as the executive director for 4 years of UU Jazz. In 2023, she moved into a shared leadership role alongside the director of finance and operations, Casey Close, and the director of communications and development, Annalise Ortiz. Janine also serves the Greater UU movement as a co-host for the VUU, that's pronounced View, the weekly UU talk show in podcast. If you haven't caught it yet, it's fabulous. As a curriculum writer for the Beloved Conversation, the UU Anti-Racism Program, and the steering team for the religious professionals, Joint Code of Ethics. Religious Professionals Joint Code of Ethics. Janine does a lot of good work in our community. She lives in Phoenix right now with her 2 young children, Vivian and Ramona, and she wants everyone to know that she would love to chat with you about all these things during social hour after the service.
brought you a poem this morning to call us to worship, and it's by one of my dearest friends and UU minister, a queer, trans, brown, disabled leader in our faith and poet, the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto, who many of you might have heard is coming to visit us here in Arizona this week. There's still tickets available to listen to their poetry and unveil their new book of poems that's dedicated to us here at UU Jazz. And this poem to call us to worship today is called Blessed Are the Hungry. I know that you are hungry for justice. And sometimes when you fail, it feels like the times where you open the refrigerator door and look inside and then close it again, nothing having met your appetite. But there is always trying again. There is the fact that one just act is the beginning, and together we can build another. The gnawing hunger for a different future, that is one that we feed in the present. Your diligence, your tenacity, your willingness to learn, not just know, but also do. That hunger shapes how you nourish, feeding one another with the long spoons of your compassion until you're strong enough to feed the part of the world that you can reach.
It's time to light our chalice. We welcome those at home, if you have a chalice and a candle, to get it out and light it here with us as we do light ours here in Holland. The chalice lighting today was written by UU Reverend Jamie A. Yandel and is titled The Sacred Power of Justice. Please join me in reading the words as Janine lights our candle. We light this flame to ignite the sacred power of justice. We light this flame so that we may become a beacon of hope. In moments of uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and the unknown, we light this flame and we are emboldened by the blaze, knowing of our strength as a prophetic and powerful people. It's rooted in the diverse ways we answer the call to love.
Rise in body or spirit and join in singing Love Will Guide Us. The words will be projected on the screen. 131 if you are holding a hymnal, and if you're not, the words will be projected on the screen. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give round deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Please be seated.
Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy and our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows every week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks. Those symbolize our collective mournings and our collective joys, and also the smaller stones that you will add to signify our individual joys and sorrows. Let us remember those desert people who came first in this place. We honor the Yavapai, the Hona Otam, the Yaqui, and the Hookam, and other people that no longer exist as tribal entities here in Arizona. We who live in the desert know that water is life. It is a life-sustaining, scarce resource. Let's remember those who are walking through our desert right now without access to water. We also bring to mind those who are seeking to assure greater access to water in the desert. We pour water from a plastic jug similar to the ones used by our ministry partner, No More Deaths Over the Rocks. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to go ahead and go to menti.com, and you can put in the code that's on the screen. And if you're here in the sanctuary and you want some help with that, Brian Moon is right over there, ready with his fingers to type. And he can help you do that, so it will be read aloud when we share our joys and sorrows at the end. And those of us here in person know that now I invite you to come to the table and add your pebbles to symbolize your hope or your sorrow by putting a stone in the water. We ask for efficiency. We form a line down the middle, and we can do that. I can't read that from here.
I can get it. First one, joyful but anxious, because I have a music performance this afternoon and I'm weak on one song, which is going to be the best song, I'm confident. Still joyful. Said for, and that wasn't mine, that's somebody else. Said for the innocent Jews and Palestinians sad for the innocent Jews and Palestinians during the conflicts. Loved the joy and enthusiasm of a 7-year-old to put out Halloween decorations. Pain from thinking of all the innocent people caught in war zones. My joy is that I enjoy good health, independence, mobility, and a vibrant, receptive spirit to guide me. Joy at the exuberance of young nieces and nephews celebrating a family birthday.
Thank you, Brian. And now Janine will put some extra rocks in to symbolize those things that weren't unspoken, but still are true.
Please sink into this next song, the first verse of which we'll sing twice. I'd ask us to look inward. It's something that some of you know and some of you don't know. So you can join us on the first verse, or you can sing the first verse the second time around. There is a love holding I. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding me all. I rest in this love. There is a love. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. We rest in this love last time. We rest in this
Hi, I'm Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and I am minister at the UU Church of Tucson, and I also serve on the UU Jazz Board.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stuart Roden, UU in Scottsdale, Arizona, author, professor, and I too serve on the UU Jazz Board.
I'm Ren Manning, a UU in Tucson, Arizona, co-director of Borderlings, facilitating education for migrant justice, and I serve on the UU Jazz Board.
Hi, I'm the Reverend Anthony Umtuaswat Johnson, minister at the Sedona Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and I too serve on the UU Jazz Board.
Len Perez could not be here tonight, but she is a member of the UU Congregation of Phoenix and also serves on the board with us. As the board, we recently created the following value statements to inform and guide our work at the Unitarian Universalist Justice Arizona Network.
Learning. We learn by reflecting in community and taking action, as well as individual curiosity, effort, and dedication. The work of UU Jazz is at the growing edges, the gap between where we are as UUs and where we want to be.
Courage. We strive to move beyond our comfort zones. We understand that safety isn't always possible or guaranteed, so we work from a place of bravery and encourage risk-taking.
Accountability. We strive to build more restorative and transformative practices as part of our justice work. We are intentional in our engagement with punitive cultures when necessary. We take responsibility for the harm we may have currently and historically caused, and strive to build a culture where relationships can be restored and empathy can grow. We balance the transparency and confidentiality that is often required during these processes.
Relationship. We organize on teams with partners and in coalitions because we know that we are better together and our well-being is intertwined. We nurture our relationships of mutual trust through clear communication and by doing what we promise. Doing what we promise. We value the emergent needs of people over adhering to established processes.
Discernment. We approach our work thoughtfully to ensure alignment with our mission and vision. When our values conflict with one another, we lean into complexity and don't expect a one-size-fits-all solution to every decision.
Equity. We use a frame of equity instead of equality because what works for one person doesn't work for all. Seek to subvert dominant cultural norms by centering the margins and normalizing the radical. We follow the lead of directly impacted persons and organizations who are focused on taking direct action for policy and societal change. We anticipate and accommodate the needs, holding space for those who may join us.
Self-awareness. We believe that everyone has a role to play in the ecosystem of justice work. There are times when some or all of us may need to listen, move back, and decenter our own experiences and priorities. We take power dynamics into consideration when deciding when to lead and when to follow.
Imagination. We approach our work with an attitude of curiosity and creativity. Radical change requires us to reimagine the way things can change from the root, rather than replicating systems of oppression or maintaining the status quo.
Joy. We reject the idea that justice work is only hard or tedious. It is also the path to meaning and joy in life. We approach our work and our play with a little bit of silliness, enjoy the process of doing justice, and remember to celebrate milestones, progresses, and every effort along the way.
Sustainability. We prioritize sustainable work by allowing ourselves time and space to be human, to handle personal matters, care for family, take sick leave, and just plain rest. We support an attitude of work that includes us as whole people and believe that cycles of work and rest make long-term sustainability possible. To support this, we close in July and December to prioritize intentional rest and push back against capitalism's lie that we are only worth what we produce.
Thank you so much to our amazing board. It's really cool that two of the people in the video are actually in the room right now. That's never happened before when I've shared this at a congregation. So thank you to Reverend Bethany, our former chair, for your long service on our board. And Ren Manning, one of our current co-chairs of the UU Jazz Board, is here with us as well. Thank you both. So, as Watercolor said, I am Janine Gelsinger. I am the current co-director of the UU Jazz, our state action network here in Arizona. And today, I brought you a story. And it's a story about a pilgrimage. Now I know, as UUs, what is a UU pilgrimage supposed to mean? What is that, a pilgrimage? Like, to where? Well, my pilgrimage was to Memphis, Tennessee, to go to the Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Motel. Many of us know that location as a spot where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and there is an amazing museum that really tells so many stories about movement, and specifically the civil rights movement. And it's important for me, as a relatively young person, to make sure that I remember all the lessons from movement that came before me. Because unfortunately, so much of the work that happened during the civil rights movement still has need today. And I know I don't have to tell you how and why, but we are still a people trying to build movement in order to move forward our values in Arizona and around the world, but specifically for UU Jazz in Arizona. And so I thought I'd bring to you today some lessons that I was reminded of as I explored the Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Motel, and also my thoughts on how these lessons are still relevant in our movement work today. So the first thing I noticed at the Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Motel is that it is set up to not only center MLK. And that was kind of surprising to me, but I thought that that was really cool. And the reason that I was so struck by the museum's ability to tell the stories of all the movement leaders is because I think as Americans who sometimes like a messianic narrative, right? We can be tricked into thinking that MLK just came down from somewhere and waved a magic wand with his beautiful words and speeches and just erased racism in the US. And that didn't happen. MLK was an incredibly wonderful leader. He was a very powerful speaker. But he did not single-handedly create the civil rights movement. In fact, the civil rights movement is an amazing example of a grassroots movement. Most of the actions, the sit-ins, the bus boycotts, they took place on hyper-local levels, led by students in many cases, people who were organizing just within their communities on a really small local level. And it grew and grew and grew into something that eventually had national changes. And I think sometimes we like to hold up MLK because in some ways it lets us off the hook. If we just wait for a really powerful, magnetic, charismatic leader who can speak with the voice of MLK, then that person surely will save us. Sometimes we put on our yellow side with love shirts, and it's almost like, okay, I'm not really into sports, but I'm gonna try to make a sports analogy. It's almost like we're wearing the team jersey, right? And if I wear the yellow shirt, then any UU who's taking action for justice, I can claim to be on that team, right? I get the credit too. Right? I'm cheering them on the sidelines, but justice is a team sport. It happens on the field, and there's a role for all of us. We can't wait for another leader like MLK. This work relies on all of us, and there's a way for all of us to be involved. From the people who were bringing water and snacks to the bridge, right, in the civil rights movement, the folks who are watching children, all the different ways that we can be involved. Some of us write a check. There's so many ways to be involved, but it takes all of us. And the Civil Rights Museum that I visited tells that story well. They told the story also of Rosa Parks, the real story, which I love, because Rosa Parks is another leader we like to hold up and say, oh, that lady, what courage she had. One day she just got tired of sitting in the back of the bus and decided she wasn't going to move. But we know that's not what happened, right? It was a planned action. Rosa Parks trained for 2 weeks at the Highlander Center. And she had others on the bus who were there with her. They planned out that action, and it was specifically planned to challenge the desegregation law on the bus. In fact, Claudette Colvin had tried it 6 months earlier, but because she wasn't arrested for the desegregation law, they weren't able to use her action to challenge the law, so they had to do it again with Rosa Parks. And I think this is important because otherwise we wait for a hero, and we don't realize that we are the heroes we've been waiting for. It's just us. And we have each other, and we can do it again. Another thread that I picked up walking through the museum was one about politics. I paid attention every time I saw mention of a politician. in the history of the museum. And I'll tell you what I noticed. There was a whole exhibit dedicated to JFK and MLK and the conversations that they had over the phone several times. And I'll tell you what I heard, I'm paraphrasing. I'm going to tell you what I heard from JFK was, you know, Martin, gosh, I really believe in what you're doing, and I commend you for it, but you know, the timing, it's so inconvenient. This political cycle, you know, I wonder if it could just wait a little bit longer. And, you know, I agree with what you're doing, but just sometimes the way you go about it, I don't know. You think you could just tone it down? Does that sound familiar to anyone? Yeah. We hear those words a lot in movement, right? I agree with what you're trying to do, but not the way you're doing it. I have another priority that's more important. Could you just wait your turn? And it wasn't too shocking to hear that. One of my favorite organizing phrases is around elections, electing political leaders, is we elect targets, not saviors. Because just like MLK didn't come to save us, neither are our politicians. I don't have to tell you, because of the way democracy works currently in our country, because of all the money involved, it is up to us to push our elected leaders to actually take the steps to make changes. And that example came from the civil rights movement too, because eventually when LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act, he didn't just make that up one day and decide to write it and sign it. He was pushed to do that by years of grassroots organizing, years of people's demands for that to happen. And that's how it has to look today, because politicians have never been our saviors. Frederick Douglass, right? One of his most favorite quotes is, "Power concedes nothing without demand." So what does it mean for us as a people to demand that our leaders represent our values in their office? Another thing I noticed in the Civil Rights Museum was the role of the church. And this was a hard exhibit to walk nearby, because a lot of the maps of the church role in the civil rights movement were maps of churches being bombed. It's scary, and it's okay to feel that fear. What will happen if we're loud about our values? Will it make us a target? What will those threats look like? At UU Jazz, I was so proud this year when here at UU Tucson and also up in Phoenix, so many of you gathered to learn community safety so that we could decide how are we going to be prepared so that we don't let fear make the decisions for us. We plan for what we would do, we get prepared, but then we don't make decisions out of fear. We make decisions rooted in our values. And that's what I noticed, the role of the church during the civil rights era. People were taking great risk because they knew that if they didn't, so much more was at stake. MLK had lots to say about the church. You may have read some of his writings, but I'm going to read you one again today. In 1967, MLK said, "The church must be reminded that it is not the master or the servant of the state, but rather the conscience of the state, and never its tool. If the church does not recapture its prophetic zeal, it will become an irrelevant social club without moral or spiritual authority." Whew. Ouch. But I didn't come here for a social club. And even though I heard you serve good coffee here, I know you didn't either, right? That's not why we're UUs. We're here to put our values into action. We're here to make change in the world because we know we have a life-saving movement that can do it. You know, while I was in Memphis, a friend sent me a text. They were kind of jokingly referring to some of the conspiracy theories around MLK's assassination. And listen, I know UUs can love a good conspiracy theory, but I don't want to get into that with you today. But they sent me a CIA handbook, or what was the precursor to the CIA from 1944, on how to destroy an organization from within. And it struck me, so I'm going to read some parts of it to you today. So if you're the CIA in 1944 and you're targeting an organization because you want to destroy it from within, the first thing you can do, number one, insist on doing everything through proper channels. Never permits shortcuts to expedite decisions. Okay. Number two, when possible, refer all matters to committees for further study and consideration. Attempt to make the committees as large as possible, never less than 5 people. Number three, make speeches. Make speeches. I might be in trouble for this one. Talk as frequently as possible and at great length. Number four, haggle over precise wording of communications, minutes, and resolutions. Oof. Y'all, does this sound familiar? Does it sound like some of our workplaces, maybe our school boards, our government, our larger UUA sometimes? Can it sometimes feel like our churches? If this is what the CIA would do to destroy an organization from within, we probably shouldn't do these things to ourselves. And I know that it can be discouraging. I know that poem I read, When You Feel Hungry for Justice, how disappointing it can be to fall short and fail. In my almost 5 years at UU Jazz now, there have been many things we've tried and failed. And it can get hard. There are days where I wonder if UUs in Arizona really want a statewide organizing network. Do you want a voice for UUs in the public square? Would you rather just keep it to what you do in your congregations? I don't know. And sometimes I get discouraged too. This year we've had some fundraising struggles, and there have been times that I've gone without a paycheck in my work, and I have 2 young kids at home. But here's what I know. Here's what brings me hope. I know that you know that love is a verb. Love's not just a thing we feel, but it is something that we do, and as Unitarian Universalists, we know love guides us to take action. I know that love is a verb because last March, when Jamili had the idea to get together an OWL training for Arizona, because before the region had told us there's not enough people in Arizona to have your own training. You need to go to California or Colorado. Almost 60 of you showed up to be trained in all 7 levels of OWL because you know that you will teach sex ed here in your churches if the state won't teach it in your schools. That's how I know love is a verb. You showed up. You showed up when over 20 of you here in this church decided to take Beloved Conversations, our anti-racism program, and then work together to understand how racial justice shows up in your congregations. I know that love is a verb because you show up to do that work every day, along with 3,000 other UUs that have taken that curriculum since 2020. I know that love is a verb because I see the work you do at your school boards. I know that when they want to ban books and create rules about LGBTQ mentions in schools, that you are showing up to say that Unitarian Universalists do not support that, and you are making your voices heard at the school board. And in Washington Elementary School District in Phoenix, when we showed up, they changed their contract so that student teachers from a so-called Christian organization with hate statements in their codes could no longer teach in that public school district. I know we're making a difference. I know that love is a verb. I see all that you do. I know that you are reaching out into your neighborhoods. I know that you as a congregation are discerning what is next for your social justice work. I know you're leaning into your partnership with No More Deaths. I know that love is a verb because statewide, At the state legislature, for 5 years in a row now, we have beat back every single anti-trans law in a state where that shouldn't be able to happen. Our coalition is so powerful across the state that every single time they were brought up, we beat them back, and now with the governor's veto, we get to sit back and watch her veto every single one. You did that because love is also a verb when you the vote. This year in 2024, we have an amazing opportunity to get abortion on the ballot in Arizona, to be able to vote for what our reproductive rights are. And already, I know that you have Margot with petitions ready after service. The first thing I came in, she wanted to let me know, I have petitions. Let them know I have petitions. Y'all are ready to you the vote because those citizens' petitions, they're not something a magic wand is being waved by a politician. This is a people's movement. The people made that petition, the people will sign it, the people will get it on the ballot, and the people will vote for their reproductive rights. And that's how I know that love is a verb. I know that love is a verb every day because you show me, you as you use. When you say, yes, we do want a statewide voice for justice. Yes, I will give and donate. Yes, I will volunteer and sign up. Yes, I will take your classes. What can I do? Because I know that my values are best lived out loud in service of change. Thank you, all of you, for reminding me in this work every day that you know what it means for love to be a verb.
Just to punctuate that, Ebb also has petitions. So we have great opportunities to sign your name today. Take some action. So one Sunday each month is designated as Share the Plate, which on this Sunday, we give half of our non-pledge collection to a community organization whose mission we support. Generosity is a spiritual practice, and Share the Plate is an expression of our generosity and our mission. UU Jazz is our Share the Plate recipient this month. Half of the amount of all checks made to UUCT that have Share the Plate written in the memo line, as well as half of our cash donations, will go to UU Jazz today. If Share the Plate is not written in the checks memo line, it will not be included, so please make sure to do that. Those of us joining us virtually, you can send a check to the church office with Share the Plate in the memo line, or you can give online at uuctucson.org/donate. If you give online, please be sure to indicate that your donation is for Share the Plate. This church is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join us. The offering will now be given and gratefully received, an appreciation of our shared hopes and our values. The ushers will now receive your donations.
Please rise in body or spirit to sing Wo Ya Ya, 1020 in the teal hymnal. The words will be on the screen. Here we go. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we are get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. We will get big. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. And we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. And we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 Oh yeah, yeah.
Please join me in our words of closing today, titled Do Not Fear Agitation by Tanya Marquez, as Janine extinguishes our chalice today. Do not fear agitation, for agitation is the rhythm of life itself. Oh. Do not fear the movements that decenter what you are always thought permanent. You carry with the center of your understanding the compass to show you the way. Carry with you the love that will hold you, the vision that will guide you, the relationships to all beings, and the world that will ground you. Go in peace and gentle agitation to serve this world to the side of love.
He was with us. And so we've been here since 09. Because no one's got that
abortion access petition already? It's there when you're ready.
That's good.